He was stabbed, he was poisoned, he was shot twice, and finally drowned in the frozen river. But Rasputin wouldn't die easily. This strange, wild-eyed monk from Siberia had risen from nothing to become one of the most powerful men in Imperial Russia. Whispers said he controlled the Tsarina, that he whispered in the Tsar's ear, that he was pulling the strings of an empire on the edge of collapse. To the nobles, he wasn't just dangerous, he was the end of everything. But killing Rasputin may have sealed the Romanovs' fate, not saved them. This is hidden in history, where shadows still speak. If you're into real stories that sound too wild to be fiction, hit subscribe. Let's go. Grigori Rasputin was born dirt poor in a tiny Siberian village. No one expected much of him. He didn't read well, he never wore shoes, but he had a gift, or a curse, that people couldn't explain. He saw things, he knew things. In his 20s, he abandoned his family and wandered for years, as a pilgrim, a holy man. Somewhere along the way, people started calling him a starets, a spiritual elder, someone who healed with his hands and his prayers. He was magnetic, hypnotic. He could charm a room or terrify it. His eyes were described as inhuman. Women were drawn to him. Men were unsettled. And eventually, word of this strange monk made its way to the Russian royal court. Tsarina Alexandra was desperate. Her son, Alexei, heir to the throne, had hemophilia, a bleeding disorder. Even a bruise could kill him. Doctors had no answers. Then came Rasputin. After one of Alexei's worst attacks, Rasputin prayed, and the boy recovered. Coincidence? Maybe. But to the Tsarina, Rasputin was a miracle. From then on, she trusted him with everything. He became a fixture in the palace. The Tsar, Nicholas II, was more skeptical, but he loved his wife and hated conflict. So Rasputin stayed. He started advising on politics, war, ministers. He'd never held office, but suddenly he had more influence than most generals, and the court was furious. To them, Rasputin wasn't just a peasant. He was a disease, a drunken, womanizing, manipulative mystic whispering poison into the Tsarina's ear. And some of them decided he had to die. December 1916. With the empire at war and revolution bubbling in the streets, a group of nobles, led by Prince Felix Yusupov and Grand Duke Dmitri, made a plan. They lured Rasputin to a palace under the pretense of meeting a woman. They gave him cakes and wine laced with cyanide, enough to kill 5 men. He ate, he drank, and he just kept talking. Panicked, Yusupov grabbed a revolver and shot him in the chest. Rasputin collapsed. They left the room. When they came back, minutes later, Rasputin stood up. Bleeding, eyes wild, still alive. He ran outside. They shot him again, then beat him, bound him, dragged him to the icy Neva River, and pushed him in. When his body was pulled out the next day, his lungs were full of water. He hadn't been dead when he went in. That monk, that peasant, that problem had died harder than anyone could have imagined. At first, the nobles were triumphant. The monster was dead. Surely, now the Tsar would see reason. But Alexandra was shattered. She blamed the court. she clung tighter to power. Nicholas, indecisive as ever, floundered. Just 3 months later, revolution came. The Tsar abdicated. The royal family was imprisoned. And in July 1918, they were executed in a basement by the Bolsheviks. Shot, bayoneted, burned. The empire Rasputin had supposedly corrupted was gone. And here's the eerie part. Before he died, Rasputin reportedly wrote a letter to the Tsar. He said, "If I am killed by common men, you will rule for a long time. But if I am killed by nobles, your family will die within 2 years." He was off by only a few months. So what was Rasputin, really? A healer? A fraud? A mystic with strange powers? Or just a man who understood influence better than anyone around him? To the poor, he was hope, a man of the people who stood next to royalty. To the elite, he was a nightmare, a walking insult to their bloodlines, their traditions, their control. His death was supposed to save Russia. Instead, it showed just how broken the empire already was. Maybe Rasputin didn't bring the collapse. Maybe he was just the one bold enough to ride it down. And in the end, the man no one could kill was buried, and with him, an empire. This has been Hidden in History, where shadows still speak. If this story surprised you, there are many more where that came from. Subscribe, share, and stay curious.